add Mr. Van Horn to the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor? Any opposed? Everyone have a chance to look over the minutes from the February meeting? Scared. And if I could get a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion.
If I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, moving on to the financial report. Someone? Okay, if you look what we've got before us, for the TDA collected for the month of January, $3,742.12. Net collections from July 1st, 2012 until January 2013, which this does include the carry forward, is $169,832.01, less the reserve, which is $88,903.16. So far to date, if you look at the disbursements, the TDA has spent $80,928.83, so the remaining balance is zero. The total commitments we still have out is $9,280, and if you'll look, the billboards, which that is figured into June of 2013, we still owe $7,280. And then we still have to pay for April Fool Trails Days at $2,000. So that gives you your $9,280 total. So far, if you look at the $100,000 budget, if you take what the TDA has spent thus far, including the commitments, they've spent $90,208.83. So left to spend out of $100,000, you guys have $9,791.17.
And that's through June 30th?
Yes, ma'am. Through June 30th. Any questions? Okay, moving on to the subcommittee reports. Basically, we've decided that the 20th of this month will be their marketing meeting. We would be going over some things and moving out, and some are just going over the financials. So we really don't have anything to go over on either of those at this time. And before we go on to the old business, I'm still where I was last month, so I'm just going to put my recommendation when I believe that we should still postpone everything, because we are no different than we were last month. But that's up to the board. I mean, that's my recommendation. I know we tabled it.
Postpone until
The March 20th to talk about our marketing and where we want to put everything.
And that would take us into the April meeting then?
Yes, then it would be April. That's my recommendation, because I do know that we still have commitments. If we continue, besides Tony, because I know that we have to keep up the website every month, I do recommend that maybe just until we can get our financials to see where we're going to be, maybe shorten the hours. That's just a recommendation for me. So 20 hours, maybe 10 hours the next. But that's just my recommendation. As far as going on to the, so you're looking at maybe doing Tony, one consideration I think the town attorney had mentioned last month is, given the financial status that we're in, maybe consider looking at Tony as like just a month to month between now and June. And then after June, if he wants to come back before the board and do the yearly contract, the board's interested at that time, look at it then as well. To put us on the fiscal year so that you're right. So you would run from, yeah, that's correct. That way we're starting to get back on board. Instead of January through December, you would be with the fiscal year just the same as we are. But in the meantime, we could consider, if it's the will of the board, to look at between now and July 1 of just doing a month-to-month contract. That's just an idea.
Okay.
That's just a recommendation.
And my comment, since we do have the $97 million, I think it was 97.
$91.
And, yeah, 97.
9,791.17.
791. Okay. That we do have festivals that are coming up that we should, because they are expected to occur between now and the end of June. Other than one of them, the folk festival was the July.
There's two instances, a Taste of Scotland and Airing of Quilts happen before our fiscal year
Right.
starts, correct?
Right, before it ends. Before
But we
the-
should make that decision in April.
Right, and
Well,
that's just my
Still plenty of time.
recommendation.
I mean, that's the other side of that coin, is it's still in plenty of time.
Right.
I mean, we can do that because the three festivals that are here are, they total $6,000.
But now we've only got,
With Tony's and then the billboard requests, but that would still be totally under budget at that point. But I can understand Candy's request, and as a matter of fact, I'd make a motion that this all be tabled until the 20th. Until the April meeting, with the exception of continuing Tony on a month-to-month basis.
I'll second it.
Looking back to last meeting, as much as I don't want to do that.
I know.
How did we leave it with these folks, though? Did we tell them to come back and to this meeting, and we were going to vote on it?
Yes, and that was the same as my recommendation last month. Nothing's going to change from last month to this month as far as funding, so as a board, it was tabled until this month.
Yeah, originally we looked at having that, at some point, we looked at having that marketing meeting
Right.
tonight. And that, we shifted that off of the regular meeting night, so that's the reason for kicking it back to April.
This is one thought that when we do, I'd like to see the board look at when we look at our marketing plan next week, is another item we need to look at is possibly, let's look at guidelines and stipulations that we need to have in place for funding requests.
Absolutely.
Too, I think the biggest thing is too, in our marketing plan, we need to decide how much we're spending where. And so we're not all over the board. We know this is how much we have here, this is how much we have here. And when you're digging out of that throughout the year, this is what you've got left. So then you know that when grants are coming up,
Right.
this is where you're going to be. Instead of it getting to where we are now, being like, okay, we've got $9,000.
I even like to see us
Right.
consider potentially doing a funding pool, say X amount for festivals.
And that's
And up front saying, all those said festivals know of this meeting that we'll have, and, come before and make your requests now. And I see that freeing us up to do a lot more marketing in the town of Franklin specifically, and focus on other things than to be, so caught up in funding requests and that sort of thing. It's just a thought.
And I think that's what we
And
need.
that's
We need a
something-
marketing plan.
Right.
Yeah. And we can discuss it at the next meeting.
Yes.
Or the March meeting.
And I had a second. Was that all
I
in
had a
favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
That motion, I just want to clarify, was to table all requests until the April, is it 9th? April 8th meeting?
April 8th.
With the exception, with the exception of Tony Angel?
Yes.
Okay. And then we'll just renew yours at the fiscal year, and sort of renew budget. You can present that again.
And that'll be on a month-to-month basis until,
Until then.
do first?
Whatever's good for you all.
So the first motion was to take my recommendation and wait until April
Mhm.
to be able to fund these after we get our marketing plan.
Mhm.
And then I'll need a motion to.
You
for
got,
Tony
you had a
to-
second, so you need all in favor?
We are.
Or-
We
Okay,
already
all right,
did.
good. I'm trying to catch up, so I don't.
It's
So you're
okay.
doing a motion for Tony.
We need one for Tony, yes, to do on a month-to-month basis.
I make a motion to keep Tony on a month-to-month basis until our new fiscal year begins, or the current fiscal year ends.
At the set rate of 800.
Yeah.
No, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I was trying to look and see, because I was trying to go back over the minutes to see if we voted on some of the stuff before we voted.
We have that.
Discussed it quite a bit, but never did.
Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and let Mr. Van Horn speak.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for allowing me to come. I've addressed you a couple times before, and again, I appreciate kind of being a late add-on. And I know you've got a full schedule and a lot of things to continue to talk about. I just want to talk about three things very briefly. One is to bring up the topic of the through hiker, the AT through hiker impact to the town of Franklin. I know it's been several years since I addressed you, and I just wanted to comment about a couple of things in the survey that the AT Community Committee did back in 2010. You know, roughly 1,500 through hikers will get to Winding Stair Gap and Highway 64. And our committee, the AT Community Committee, would like to see every one of those through hikers come into Franklin for all sorts of reasons. And when we did the survey back in the spring of 2010, just to highlight, 64% of the through hikers have a bachelor's degree or higher as far as their educational background. 25% of them have an annual income of between $20,000 and $40,000, and 36% of them have an annual income of greater than $40,000. So the intent here is that they have discretionary income. The survey showed that 67% of them spent at least one night in town, and 24% of them spent 2 or more nights in town. And on an average, they spent $153 during their time in Franklin. So there's a pool out there, obviously, that has significant benefit to Franklin. Now, what I want to talk about briefly is, okay, how do they get to town? They're 11 miles out. Coming into town, we're pretty friendly at picking up hitchhikers. The Natahala Hiking Club does have a roster of people that are willing to volunteer to bring them in town or take them back out. There are a few for-profit people that will go out and shuttle them into town. I know that both Outdoor 76 and 3 Eagle Outfitters do free pickups. And of course, we're all aware that Ron Haven for about 6 weeks at least runs a free shuttle, whether it be a van or his little bus, up the Winding Stair Gap and bring them back into town. So I just ask you to think about the ways that those hikers can get into town, because they have a significant economic impact to the town, and how your group, along with some of the other groups that look at the economic viability of Franklin, what can be done to support that. The second thing I'd like to talk about is the Appalachian Trail Conservancy Biannual Conference. It happens every 2 years. It rotates throughout the 4 regions, from Georgia to Maine. Just so happens this year it's going to be at Western Carolina University from the 19th to the 26th of July. As you know, Franklin is a designated Appalachian Trail community. We were the first formally designated back in 2010. There are now 28 formally designated ATC communities between Georgia and Maine. The conference will have workshops, hikes, and excursions. It just so happens that one of those excursions will be coming to Franklin on Saturday, the 20th of July, because of Folk Festival, for one of the reasons. So folks formally will be coming here to Franklin. So I hope that between the TDA, the Chamber, the TDC, that you all look at some way to capitalize on about 1,000 people that are going to be at Western Carolina University, and see what we can do to get them to town. The third thing I'd like to mention to you is, I know in reading the papers, you can't believe everything you read in the paper, but a couple of real good articles about your plan, as you talked about tonight, to have a marketing strategy or marketing plan development. And as you are aware, there are many stakeholders that are looking at what's going to happen. I'll just name a few that came to my mind. TDC, the EDC, the Main Street Program, the Chamber, the Hiking Club, the Quilting Guild, Scottish Tartan Museum, Folk Heritage Association, various motorcycle groups out there, and I'm sure there are many others that you certainly consider as stakeholders as you move forward in your strategic planning. You know, from the hiking club point of view, you know, we want to see the mutual benefit to the trail and to the town of Franklin. That was the big impetus behind helping Franklin become a designated AT community. You know, we feel that the more people that come to Franklin to experience the Appalachian Trail and the friendliness that this town has, you know, certainly they're going to come back, and some of them are going to come back and stay. So I hope as you move forward that you'll consider some way to allow these multiple stakeholders to participate in your marketing strategy. Because I think they all would agree with me that their success is based upon how successful you are and what you do to market Franklin and to build tourism. Thank you very much.
Mr. Van Horn,
Yeah.
can I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
It may seem kind of stupid,
No, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Every teacher told me that.
we have issues at our franchise at Fayetteville with, for transportation. And a lot of times we have hikers call, but they're not getting a good signal. I don't know all the designated spots where they're at, and they'll tell me I'm at such and such, and I have no clue where that's at. Are they given that information? Well, you can go here, and this is where they normally do a pickup. So if you wanted to go pick them up, I mean, how
I
do
think
you
most,
find them?
well, I think most of the word gets out that Winding Stair, it's Highway 64, is the best pickup location. You know, certainly for a volunteer. Like yesterday, I picked 2 people up. I took one to Winding Stair, and I had to take one up to Wyatt Crest. Yeah, I'd much rather just make the drive out to Winding Stair. So I think some things can be done to get the word out that, from a lot of perspective, the best paid place if they want to get into town and therefore go back, assuming they don't cheat a little bit, is that they go back to Winding Stair. I just think that makes it easier for everybody to do that. Now, one thing that I can do, there are a couple of guidebooks that are available to the hikers, and I can contact those editors and make a point about maybe making a comment. You know, your best bet for pickup into Franklin is the Winding Stair Gap.
Because a lot of times we'll volunteer for it, or people want
Sure.
to take them, but we just don't know exactly where that's at.
But, you know, Highway 64 there by the big rock cut, you know, that, in my mind, that's the easiest way for them to get a hitch into town. And that's the easiest way for someone that's a volunteer, or even if they're paid, you know, that's the easiest route and location to get them back to the trail.
And like an updated list, do y'all update the list of
Right,
people, the hikers, like who picks them up? Like they'll ask for a shuttle sometimes, and Ron Haven's been the one that will send sometimes, or someone that she doesn't know we don't have
Now, we have
a taxi or anything that goes.
Now, we do have a club member that updates that sheet. She lists not only the volunteers in the club, but also some of the paid folks in town to put down on that sheet.
We'd like an updated sheet for that.
Okay,
just to
sure.
make sure that we can.
I'll make sure you do.
Just to help. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have questions about anything else?
I do.
Yeah.
Thanks for presenting, by the way. Biennial conference. I'm assuming you've been.
That's correct. Yeah.
What, in a nutshell,
It,
is the advantage of us buying any level of purchasing any level of sponsorship for that, in your opinion?
the advantage is to get Franklin's name out there, knowing that they're only like 20 miles away. The other thing that there is an option that on Friday, that's the big registration day, people start rolling in about noon, and then they registered at 9 o'clock, and then maybe then 30% on Saturday, you have an opportunity to set up a table. I say, Franklin County, whatever. One of the entities had to look at setting up a table there, so when people walk in, pick up brochures about all the things that are in Franklin or that are in Macon County. I would see that as an advantage.
Do you think it would be a problem to find someone to man that booth?
I don't know.
Yeah.
There obviously, I don't tell you how to do your business, but there are paid people that could be given, Monday or Friday off that maybe would go there and do it on Saturday or something like that. There are volunteers, obviously, that work at the chamber maybe that would do that.
All right. Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Questions? Thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business. We have applicants for the Tourism Development Authority Board. And as you know, we have 3 positions that are available at this time. The first vacancy that needs to be filled is a tourist-related business. Taken Ellen Jenkins with Primrose Lane. The second vacancy needs to be filled as a large tourist-related business. Deb Heatherly previously held that position. The third vacancy that needs to be filled is for a business directly involved with the collection of room occupancy tax, which we haven't had anyone with interest for that. And there may be a 4th vacancy pending. We're waiting on a written resignation from that board member. So,
I'm sorry.
it'll be Karen Bacon, but we are waiting for her written resignation. She's got a lot of stuff going on right now.
Mhm.
So, we've asked that she formally give us that. She's not here tonight, but as soon as we get that, then there's a possibility of that 4th position opening. And I do know there's been some applicants.
We have some, did you guys get what I sent you Friday? We have had some interest. We actually have Cheryl Pullman here tonight, who's expressed an interest in filling the tourist-related business, which was previously held by Ellen Jenkins on Main Street. We also, another person who's expressed interest, and I'm sad to say I don't see him here tonight, that's Chris Watts, who's the general operating manager, and I think he's a co-owner of FATS. He's expressed an interest since probably December, but I know with his schedule he seems to be quite busy, but he is interested. And then we have had 2 recent ones, Josh Drake and Benjamin Van Hook, all tourist related for those 4.
All tourist related.
That's what they applied for. And basically what this board, you can take it under advisement. We obviously do need to start taking it serious and look at filling some of those slots. But the process would be for the board to come to a consensus. And you don't have to fill all the vacancies right now. It's as Candy just stated, apparently we may be having a 4th. But what I would recommend is to look at filling some of the vacancies, especially the first 2, because they have been vacant for a while with Ellen and Deb's departure. But what you guys would need to do is just make a recommendation of who you'd like to see on the board, and that would go before the town board, who then has to approve that. So basically all you would be doing tonight is making a recommendation if you would like.
And as for Josh being in the same business, I would like to be removed from that.
Excused.
If y'all want to discuss Josh, just because we're in the same business. And I don't want conflict.
I've spoken with Ben personally. I've spoken with several people because there's a void that needs to be filled.
Yeah.
They're trying to at least. He seems very interested. Obviously, he applied. He's involved in real estate, so I'd like to recommend Ben.
Do you know if he collects the tax?
Because we've got those positions that we have to fill first.
Do you think you could talk to him and see if he'd be interested in coming maybe to the April meeting? So we could
Sure.
ask some questions?
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
are we going to have the opportunity maybe to chat with them a little bit, or maybe ask questions or not?
I think
And I
we
know I
should.
didn't do that. thank goodness, but I'm just
Hey, now,
curious.
come on.
You know, is that
I
something
think-
where we can maybe do that?
I think we should. Now, we actually have one candidate here tonight.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you one more time tell me the, because I don't have my list, but how many total members do we have, or if we
It's
were full?
nine.
If we were full,
total.
9.
9.
Okay, so at this time, right now, we
It's
have
three.
3 vacancies, and
Vacancies.
then a possible 4.
Yes.
Okay.
And one of them is a
That
tax
collects
collector.
the tax,
They've
which
gotta
would be an
be in that.
hotel.
Hotel.
One of the
rental,
three.
And how many-
Business or rentals, we could even take somebody.
How many
that's
are we
rentals.
supposed to have that do that on the board?
At the board,
Two.
do you-
Is that 2?
2.
And we've got 1
So
right now?
far.
Or,
No, it's gotta be
No.
more than 2, because we both do.
three.
And I
Three.
just did.
It's 3.
We need one more.
No,
Is that right?
there's
3.
total of 3 that are in the
It's a
decency
percentage of the board
provider.
members.
At least 1/3 of the members must be individuals who are affiliated with businesses that collect the tax in the town, and at least 3/4
So
I
Candy,
collect. He
currently
collects.
active in the
Candy.
commission.
No, I collect
You collect.
those. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One in town,
All right.
Howard?
Well, then,
Uh-huh.
In town.
That's good. I'm thrilled, to be honest.
All right.
But what do we
So
do?
then we
Let's
just
make sure we're
need-
talking about room occupancy tax.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, okay.
I was totally
Yeah, I was
confused.
thinking-
None here. You probably did. So we don't, we need.
We didn't know.
You didn't know that? Yeah, I
No.
thought that's why you guys called me.
they just like you.
I know. Yeah.
See? So that's good, then we have 3, so we just need 3 total. If there's 3 of us that's collecting tax, each meeting.
And I certainly recommend Cheryl as well.
I'd second.
Stepping away from Josh. Not saying that.
No, and we could, I think
Yeah.
we should excuse ourselves, just because we
Yeah,
are in the same
absolutely.
business as him. We work for the same company, and that way that,
Okay.
you know, you would be able to do that. So if, who are we going with first? If we wanna, I think Cheryl's here.
Cheryl's
She
here.
would be great to.
You'll make the motion?
Sure.
And I'd second that.
What is it,
To
wait a minute,
recommend-
what's the motion?
Need to make a
To
motion
recommend Cheryl.
to recommend.
And what
To the town
category is
board.
this?
We can't.
That would be toaster
And
light.
Ben, yeah.
I think and Van Hook.
I'd
For,
like,
to recommend? Or
I'm-
what are we doing?
I'd like to talk. Do you think he'd be interested in coming to the April meeting?
I think so. If he's
Okay.
applied, I think he'd
Oh,
be
so-
open to that.
I wasn't.
Yeah, I've spoken with him too.
Yeah, we're
And
supposed to
Chris
have.
Watts?
Okay,
People are
first,
interested.
before we go any further, let's start with
Okay.
Cheryl, because she is sitting right
Right.
here. And we just made a motion, and I'm going,
Sure.
where are we at?
I see interest and I want to capture it.
Okay.
Excuse my.
She's still sitting here.
And you have a
Yeah,
second, so you need.
And then, all in favor for Cheryl?
Oh.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay.
Any opposed?
Does anybody have any questions?
Do you have any questions, Cheryl?
Actually, no.
No?
I have a question.
Well,
What's your business?
what's it?
Jamison Jewelers.
Okay.
I was just gonna ask the same thing.
I will bring this
What
to the
yours?
town board in April.
Jameson.
Oh,
Cool.
This will have to be presented to the town board.
Those are some separate.
The aldermen for their.
I know I left mine.
Cool.
Summer, can we get a copy of the application that you received?
Yeah, I email it. Now, who was the second one? Now that we've got that one.
Ben Van Hook.
Okay.
And this is also my recommendation.
Okay.
Because I've spoken with him. You guys obviously may want to ask him questions. I've spoken with Cheryl as well. So, yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
So will we, is it to see him in April and have him come and speak, or?
Let me, you want me to talk to him? I'll talk to him and invite him to
Yeah,
that meeting.
that'd be great.
Okay.
In the April meeting would be good.
And I'd like to recommend Chris Watts.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, he's supposed to.
I don't know him.
And I can touch
Be
base
here.
with him a little bit more. I was hoping he would be here.
So you definitely would recognize him.
And Cheryl, you've been involved in all of this out with the town too. And then the third one can be Josh, and I can step up.
Well,
We
aren't you
wouldn't
gonna
have
have
a
them all
third.
come to the next meeting?
Do you want to, because we voted on one, or do you want
We're
Josh
not-
to come as well? I mean, our April.
He's an applicant.
Well, are we gonna?
Well, we're voting on some,
Are
or we're
we-
not voting on
right.
others. So
Exactly.
that's
I was gonna
determined
say,
we're
are we
voting
gonna
on
start
is
doing that?
Cheryl. So you think all the rest of the recommendations
Come back in
Yeah.
April if he's, I'd like to
Yeah, 'cause
physically
we didn't-
see him.
We didn't get an application from Chris yet.
No, he's not turned, yeah.
Okay, so.
So Chris,
Until we
Ben,
know that he's
and
committed.
Josh will be coming.
And
And
the
we
others-
need
then
two
come
of
to
those
April.
three, is that correct?
No, we need.
Oh, we actually might need all
But we
might
have
need
to
all-
wait.
You don't have your full, yeah.
that. Right.
Yeah, that'll give us the full,
Right.
release back
So
up
we
to
got too
full
many
smart.
questions going on.
Unless we get more between now and then.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So we will ask Josh, Chris,
Mhm.
and Ben to come to our April 8th meeting.
This confuses us a little more.
I know.
Is Summer inviting?
I will have her
I
do
just,
it.
Okay.
I can, if you want me, I'll just do all three, that way we're
Yeah.
all.
There we
okay.
go.
Yeah, one person.
Thank you.
Okay, we're all clear on that.
And Cheryl's going before the town board, right? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Next. I thought we were voting on all of them. I didn't know what was going on here. Okay. Any more items from the board?
We got one, or did we pull up? No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah, we
voted.
did, okay, never mind. Ah,
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Careful.
We're kind of in a bind on what we need to do with the billboards.
We need them.
Well, if you have festival boards, they need to go up.
Yes.
I've been in touch with Nelson a few times. Just so you all know, he was out of commission for a while, his father passed away. I don't know if y'all knew that, but Nelson's father passed away, he was out of commission for a while. But with Trail Days doesn't have one, correct? No board for Trail Days, but there will be a board for
Two boards for
Airing of
Taste.
the Quilts, and then you'll have
Two.
Taste of Scotland,
In June.
and then you'll have Folk Fest.
Folk Festival.
So we'll have open boards right now.
We have some open boards, and we only have 2 backup posters. We have 3 open boards. Actually, we have 5 open boards.
Yeah.
We have 5 open boards now.
We
So-
don't need to leave those in.
Well, you don't, but then again, you know, it's kind of a waste of money to put, if you want to wait until your marketing meeting, which then you're not going to meet again until April. But if you wanted to wait until your marketing meeting to talk about those boards, or if you want to give me the green light to go ahead and get the artwork done and get them up, because it's going to take a couple of weeks to get them produced and then installed.
But now, do keep this in mind, with the boards, we do have a cost associated with those. You're looking at least,
100 a quarter, isn't
It's
About
a-
100 and a quarter, 135.
the last statement I've got, they run about 60 apiece, and then with tax for 2 is about 125. And given the request that we had for the old unfinished business, if you did all of those, you're gonna have about 500 committed to billboards. Just bear that in mind.
Tony, can you paint me a better scenario here, a clearer picture of what we got going on with the billboards?
5 open boards.
What's in your recommendation? 5 open billboards?
We have 5 open boards. You're either going to have to spend the money on 3 extra posters for those open boards. You have 2 in-stock posters that are generic posters. They can go up on
TDA posters, the ones that
Okay.
we had
right?
from design.
The regular TDA posters. You have 2 of those in stock. You would have to buy 3 more. So that's going to be $375 to have those put up and then basically torn back down to put festival posters up, which is a waste of money.
And April's not giving us enough time, that's what you're.
And that
Okay,
April is
that-
not giving me enough time to get all this to happen, and that is my dilemma.
And then we've got a timeline on the airing of the quilts event. We need to get that
Which is Mother's Day weekend, which is early in May.
early in May, so we need to
And
get that
so
posted.
we would actually have less than a month on airing of the quilts by the time it's produced and installed.
So going back to old business, we do have some of these that are requesting billboards. And instead of leaving the billboards empty, I'm trying to get what you're saying.
That's
Instead of
exactly
leaving
right.
them empty, we will have 5 open boards. Right now, we only have 2 posters for the TDA, which means we would have to order 3 more, which is
More
almost the
cost.
same cost
Cost,
as what it
yes.
would be to put these people's boards up
That's
for
exactly right. And the minute you put the
request.
generics up and you approve these others, that's $375 wasted or more. That's going to have to
Come
they're gonna
right
have
down.
to pull right back
Yeah.
down, and the new boards put up, new posters.
All right, then let's,
So the boards that we have I'm just gonna make
How
sure
many-
that she
yeah, 'cause
understands.
I'm not- I don't think
We'll
I
have
know.
5 open.
How many boards do we have right now?
7, we've got a total of 7.
You
But
have
2 of
to-
those are vinyls. Those are not ones that we put.
Two are TDA boards that
Mm-hmm.
advertise the town.
That's right. They-
Period.
So we have
Period.
5.
So we have
And those-
5
those stay
that
around.
we can advertise anything else,
Absolutely.
basically.
Right.
Okay. It
And-
can't wait until after the March meeting?
They will sit there empty. And if we
Well,
waste
this
the
is the
boards
March
that we
meeting.
have,
Uh-huh.
is what Tony's saying. If we waste the 2 posters that we have, we'll be tearing those down just to put more posters, and the cost would be more than what it would be
I
to
see,
order
yeah.
just blank poster or TDA posters to fill those 5.
So
We'd
you
be
have-
spending more.
You have gun show posters up now, which is a past event.
That's right.
So you have a past event up there. You have 2 in-stock posters that are generic posters. That could be put up, but that was still going to leave you 3 empty boards
Right,
with old information.
okay.
So on those boards, if you were to order more generic TDA boards, you would
Got
pay
it.
$375 for those
Then
at
you have to
least.
tear them down.
Yeah.
And then immediately, if you approve, you're
Got it.
going to have to tear those down and spend $500 on new.
The new ones that we, yeah. I agree.
So
Can I
8 or
offer-
5.
Can I offer a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay. Based on the time constraints here, there's 3 events that are May, June, and July. It would be in our interest to get those events advertised at the earliest possible date, instead of waiting until the April meeting to approve. We could probably have some of those posters up by that time.
Name those
So
3.
3 events.
So the 3 events are the Taste of Scotland, who requested 2. The Airing of the Quilts, obviously, is the first one. And then the.
They're asking for
How many?
And
2?
the 2, and then the Folk Festival 2. Now, we
That's
can,
6. We
that's
only have
6,
5.
but what we can do is get one up now, put another one up when we take one down in May after the
Quill.
the quilt.
That's right.
Then you have June with the taste and July with the folk, right?
So I would like to take those items B on the agenda, G, and I from the agenda, listing under 6, and authorize the work to do the posters and the installation, get them up on display as a motion.
Okay.
And then that way we get that, we can at least get the events advertised,
Right.
even though we're holding off on funding the event.
I'd second that. That seems more than appropriate.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was very good, yeah.
Close that up.
Any items from the board? Okay. TDA retreat, strategic marketing plan is Wednesday, March 20th at 5:30 at the town hall. Next TDA regular scheduled meeting is April 8th at 5:30 at the town hall, which will have the old business as well as the other
The applicants.
applicants
Okay.
to come and speak. Now, what about other requests? Are we gonna, I say we still hold off until we get this approved before we allow any
That's
more
very right,
to
yeah.
go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a billboard
I just wanna make sure.
on the list for the motorcycle rally.
Mhm. The Derby Dash.
But that's gonna occur at the end of August, so
Right.
that,
But
we can
that
deal
will
with
be on
that.
our April.
But the thing is, we're shortchanging the hearing of the quilts if we don't get something up for, in a reasonable time.
And when is that? April?
It's May.
May.
It's May?
Mother's Day.
Oh,
Mother's
that's
Day
right.
weekend.
That's
Mother's
right.
Day
Second
Okay.
weekend in
So,
Okay.
that was my concern with the tabling the block, but if we can get some of this stuff going, then we can do that.
Sharing of the quilts, appreciate you.
We appreciate it.
I appreciate hearing the quilt.
And if I could get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. What,
quickest meeting
And
yet.
thank you